Hello, and welcome back to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking, the place where your English gets better, one conversation at a time. I am Bryans.
I am Emily. It's so good to be back with all of you, our amazing listeners. Brian, I have to ask you right off the bat, how often do you hit the snooze button in the morning? Be honest.
Oh, Emily, that's a dangerous question to start with. Let's just say my alarm clock and I have a very complicated relationship. Sometimes we're best friends. Sometimes it's like we're in a constant battle. How about you? Are you one of those super early risers who always wakes up with the sun?
Well, I usually try to, but sometimes I seldom get out of bed before 7:30, especially if I've been working late. It really depends on the day, doesn't it? Our mornings often set the tone for the entire day.
Absolutely, and that brings us perfectly to today's exciting topic. We're going to dive deep into the fascinating world of daily routines and, more importantly, how to talk about them in English, using a whole lot of really useful expressions.
That's right. Today, you'll learn to describe your day from waking up to winding down, using a range of essential vocabulary. We're also going to explore how often you do things with those handy adverbs of frequency, like always, usually, often, and never.
Plus, we'll uncover other key time expressions that will help you sound incredibly natural when you're talking about your habits and daily life. So, whether you always wake up early or you seldom get out of bed before 9, get ready to master the language of everyday life. We're going to make sure you walk away feeling confident describing your day, every single day.
It's going to be a fun and practical episode, so grab a cup of coffee or tea, whatever your morning routine involves, and let's get started.
All right, Emily. Now that we've talked about the general idea of routines, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What do we actually do in our daily routines? We're talking about those specific actions, the verbs, the nouns, the phrases that paint a picture of our day.
Exactly. And for our listeners, this is where you can really build your core vocabulary for talking about yourself and your habits. We're going to walk you through some of the most common actions, starting right from when you open your eyes in the morning.
First up, the very beginning of the day. Kada wake up, aritat nat. This is the moment your sleep ends. You might wake up early, or late, or with the sun, if you're lucky. I usually wake up with the sound of my dog barking for breakfast.
Oh, that's a very specific alarm clock. And often, after you wake up, what's the first thing many of us do, Brian? Hit that dreaded snooze button. So, to hit the snooze button. It means you press the button on your alarm clock to stop it from ringing for a few minutes, hoping to get a little more sleep.
A little more dream time, Emily. A little more dream time. I'm guilty of hitting the snooze button at least once, maybe twice, on a Monday. But eventually, you have to get up or get out of bed. These mean to physically leave your bed.
Yes, eventually. And once you're out of bed, some people immediately make the bed. Ooh, this means to arrange the sheets, blankets, and pillows neatly. Are you a bed maker, Brian?
You know, Emily, I try to be. It makes the room look tidier, doesn't it? But sometimes it waits until later in the day. After that, a crucial step for personal hygiene, to brush your teeth. Very important.
Indeed. And right along with that, to wash your face. These are simple actions, but vital for starting the day feeling fresh. And for many, the next step might be to take a shower, or even to take a bath. Ew.
Big difference between those two, of course. A shower is quick, standing under the water. A bath is more relaxing, soaking in a tub. I usually take a shower in the morning to wake myself up. How about you?
I'm definitely a shower person in the morning. A bath is more of an evening luxury for me. After getting clean, the next big decision of the day is often to get dressed. This means putting on your clothes. And often, before you get dressed, you have to choose an outfit. This is the process of deciding what clothes you're going to wear for the day. Emily, do you spend a lot of time choosing your outfit? Sometimes, yes, especially if I have an important meeting or something special planned. Other days, I just grab whatever is comfortable. Once dressed, for many, especially those with longer hair, the next steps involve hair care, like to comb your hair, or you need to brush your hair.
Right, keeping it neat. And then we have a few options depending on your hair type or style. You might blow dry your hair, which is drying it with a hairdryer.
Or if your hair tends to be a bit unruly like mine can be, you might say it gets puff frizzy after washing it. That's when your hair is dry and curly, not smooth. So to combat that, you might flat iron us or inco straighten your hair. These terms mean using a heated tool to make your hair straight and smooth.
Oh, the joys of hair maintenance. For many, particularly women, the next step might be to put on makeup. This means applying cosmetics to your face. And for men, or sometimes women, it might be to shave.
Definitely part of the getting ready routine for a lot of people. After all that preparation, it's usually time for some fuel, so to make coffee or to make tea.
Crucial. My day doesn't truly begin until I've had my first cup of coffee, or to eat breakfast, or to have breakfast. This is your first meal of the day.
Yes, the most important meal of the day, they say. What do you usually have for breakfast, Brian?
Well, I usually have some cereal or toast, sometimes an egg if I have time. Nothing too fancy. And then once breakfast is done for most of us, it's time to head out. So, to commute, or to go to work, school.
Commuting can be quite the adventure depending on where you live. So let's just take a moment here. We've covered a lot of morning routine vocabulary. Let's do a quick recap and then a small role play.
Excellent idea. So we had to wake up, to hit the snooze button, to get up or get out of bed, to make the bed, to brush your teeth, to wash your face, to take a shower or to take a bath, to get dressed, to choose an outfit, to comb your hair or to brush your hair, to blow dry your hair, frizzy, to flat iron or to straighten your hair, to put on makeup, to shave, to make coffee or to make tea, to eat breakfast or to have breakfast, and to commute or to go to work, school.
Fantastic list. Now, Brian, how about we do a little mini dialogue? I'll be person A, and you can be person B. We'll talk about a morning and try to use some of these words naturally.
Sounds great, Emily. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Did you wake up early today?
Not really. I hit the snooze button 3 times before I finally managed to get out of bed around 7:30.
Oh, I know that feeling. Did you at least have time to make the bed?
Nope, not today. I just rushed to brush my teeth and wash my face. I barely had time to make coffee before I had to commute to work.
Wow, that sounds like a busy morning. Did you at least get dressed in something nice?
I did. I chose an outfit last night to save time. No time to blow dry my hair, though. It's a bit frizzy today, actually.
Oh, well, at least you had coffee. That was a great example, Brian. You used so many of our new words.
Thanks, Emily. And you set me up perfectly for it. See, listeners, how natural these words can sound in a conversation? It's all about practice.
Absolutely. Now, let's move past the morning and into the rest of the day. What happens in the midday?
Well, for many, it's hausjaus, pay to have lunch, or siasia to eat lunch. This is your midday meal, usually around noon or early afternoon.
Simple enough. And sometimes during a break, people might go for a walk. This is a short, leisurely stroll, perhaps to get some fresh air.
Or you might have errands to run. So, to run errands means to make a short trip or trips to do something, like going to the grocery store, the post office, or the dry cleaners. It's a very common phrase.
Yes, running errands is something almost everyone does. And for those who prioritize health and fitness, you might work out or exercise. These mean to do physical activity to improve your health or fitness.
I try to fit in exercising at least 3 times a week. It helps clear my head. Also, throughout the day, whether at work or home, you often take a break. This is a short period of time when you stop working or doing something to rest or do something else.
Taking breaks is crucial for productivity, and for those in a professional setting, you might attend meetings. This means participating in scheduled discussions, often in a group.
Right. So those cover some key midday and afternoon activities. Let's quickly review those before we jump into the evening. We had to have lunch or to eat lunch, to go for a walk, to run errands, to work out or to exercise, to take a break, and to attend meetings.
Great. Now, let's shift our focus to the evening routine, which for many is about winding down and preparing for the next day.
Absolutely. The first thing that often comes to mind is dinner. So, to cook dinner, or to make dinner, this is preparing the evening meal.
Or, if you're not cooking, you might just eat dinner or have dinner.
And after dinner, someone usually has to tackle the dishes. So means to wash the dishes or to do the dishes. This means cleaning the plates, bowls, and cutlery after a meal.
Oh, the never-ending task of doing the dishes, a common chore. And speaking of chores, you might also tidy up or clean up. These mean to make a place neat and orderly.
Very important for a peaceful evening. After the chores are done, it's often time to relax. This means to rest, feel calm, and enjoy yourself.
Relaxing, my favorite part of the day. And how do people relax, Brian? Many like to read a book,
or watch TV cons or watch a movie. These are very common forms of entertainment and relaxation in the evening.
So true. And finally, as the day winds down completely, it's time to go to bed. This means to get into bed for sleep.
And once you're in bed, the goal is often to fall asleep. This means to begin to sleep. Sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes it takes a while.
That's a comprehensive list of daily actions. Let's review the evening vocabulary. We covered to cook dinner or to make dinner, to eat dinner or to have dinner, to wash the dishes or to do the dishes, to tidy up or to clean up, to relax, to read a book, to watch TV or a movie, to go to bed, and to fall asleep.
Excellent. Now let's try another short role play focusing on these evening activities. Emily, you want to set the scene?
I do. Let's imagine we're roommates. I'll ask you about your evening.
Perfect, I'm ready.
So, hey Brian, what are your plans for tonight? Are you going to cook dinner?
I think so. I'm going to make dinner around 6. After that, I definitely need to wash the dishes because I left them from breakfast.
Oh no. Well, after you tidy up, do you think you'll relax or will you work more?
I'm hoping to relax. I want to read a book, maybe watch a movie if I have time, and then just go to bed early. I really want to fall asleep fast tonight.
Sounds like a good plan. Well, good luck with the dishes.
Thanks, Emily. See how that works, listeners? We just described a whole evening routine using our new vocabulary.
And the key is to try to use these words in your own sentences. Think about your day right now. What did you do this morning? What will you do tonight?
Practice saying these phrases out loud. For example, I wake up at 7 a.m. Or, I always brush my teeth after breakfast. Even if you're just talking to yourself, it helps cement the vocabulary in your mind.
And don't worry about being perfect. The goal is communication, and building up your word bank is a huge step toward that. Let's recap some of the appearance and habit vocabulary we mentioned earlier, too, just to make sure we covered it thoroughly.
Good point. We touched on them. But let's make sure they stand out. For example, when Emily mentioned her hair getting arch frizzy, how gassy. That's a great adjective to describe hair that isn't smooth, often because of humidity.
Yes, my hair can definitely get frizzy, and the actions to combat that, to blow dries your hair using a hairdryer for quick drying.
And then, to flat iron, or chiggy, to straighten your hair, using a heated tool to make it smooth.
And for cosmetics, to put on makeup. This is a very common phrase.
Or, for facial hair, shaved your creamer. All of these are part of daily personal grooming routines for many people. Let's try to fit them into a quick sentence or two.
Okay, I'll start. Every morning, I wash my face, then I blow dry my hair, and if it's still frizzy, I might flat iron it.
Nice. And I might say, I always shave after I take a shower to get a really smooth finish. See how we're building full sentences with these words?
This is exactly what we want our listeners to do. Think about your own habits related to appearance. Do you put on makeup every day? Do you shave every morning or every other day?
Using these words to describe your own routine makes them stick. For example, if you say, I always choose my outfit the night before, you're not just learning choose an outfit. You're making it personal.
And that personalization makes it more memorable and useful. So for all our listeners, we highly encourage you to pause this episode if you can, and just mentally go through your own morning, midday, and evening using these words we've taught you.
Or even better, say them out loud. I wake up I brush my teeth. I have breakfast. I go to work. I have lunch. I come home. I cook dinner. I go to bed.
You'll be amazed at how quickly these words become natural to you when you apply them directly to your own life. And remember, the more you use them, the more confidently you'll speak.
This vocabulary is the foundation for talking about your daily life, and it's something you'll use every single day, so mastering it is incredibly beneficial.
We've covered a lot of ground in this vocabulary builder section. From the moment you wake up to when you fall asleep, you now have the words to describe your day.
Absolutely. We've talked about waking up, hitting the snooze button, getting out of bed, making the bed, brushing your teeth, washing your face, taking a shower or bath, getting dressed, choosing an outfit, and hair care like blow drying, dealing with frizzy hair, and flat ironing or straightening.
Don't forget putting on makeup and shaving. Then moving into the day, we covered having lunch, going for a walk, running errands, working out, taking a break, and attending meetings.
And for the evening, cooking or making dinner, eating or having dinner, washing or doing the dishes, tidying up or cleaning up, relaxing, reading a book, watching TV or a movie, going to bed, and falling asleep. It's a full day. It really is. And it's a full toolkit of vocabulary for you. Now that we have a strong grasp on the actions themselves, we need to talk about how often we do these things. Exactly. Because knowing the actions is one thing, but being able to express the frequency, whether you do something always, usually, or never, adds so much more detail and naturalness to your English.
And that brings us perfectly to our next segment, Grammar Spotlight, where we'll dive deep into adverbs of frequency and other time expressions. Get ready for some grammar fun. And that brings us perfectly to our next segment, Grammar Spotlight, where we'll dive deep into adverbs of frequency and other time expressions. Get ready for some grammar fun.
Grammar fun, Emily? Are you sure those two words belong together? But you're right. This is where we learn how to truly express how often we do all those wonderful routine actions we just talked about. It's the difference between saying, I brush my teeth, and I always brush my teeth. That little word adds so much information.
It certainly does. Adverbs of frequency are words that tell us how often something happens. They are super important for describing habits and routines because they give your listener a clear picture of your regular activities. And we're also going to look at some time expressions that do a similar job, but often give us even more flexibility.
Let's start with the big ones, the adverbs of frequency. We have a spectrum from 100% of the time down to 0%. First up, at the very top, is always.
Always bakyoe means 100% of the time, without exception. If you always do something, it means you do it every single time the opportunity arises.
For example, I always wake up before 6 a.m. That means every day, no matter what, I'm up before 6. Or, Emily always has a cup of tea in the morning.
That's absolutely true, Brian. I always have my tea. It's a non-negotiable part of my morning routine. What about you? Do you always make your bed?
I always try to make my bed, but I don't always succeed. See how that works? If I said I always make my bed, it would imply I do it every day without fail. But I always try to means my effort is 100% even if the result isn't.
Good point. So, always is for something you do every single time. It's strong and definitive.
Next down the line, we have usually and often. These are very common and describe things that happen a high percentage of the time, but not 100%.
Let's take 내지 usually first. This means most of the time generally, maybe 80 to 90% of the time. For example, I usually go for a walk after dinner. This means most evenings I do, but maybe on a rainy day I don't. Or, Brian usually takes a shower in the morning.
That's right. I usually do. But sometimes on a very hot day, I might take 2 showers. One in the morning, one in the evening. Or if I work out later, I might shower then instead. So, not always, but usually.
And then there's often. This also means many times, frequently. It's pretty close in meaning to usually, sometimes even interchangeable depending on the context. You might do something often if it's like 70 to 80% of the time.
Exactly. For instance, I often read a book before bed. This means I read most nights, but some nights I might watch TV instead or just be too tired, or we often have meetings on Monday mornings. Not every Monday, but many Mondays.
Brian, what's the difference between usually and often then, if they're so close?
That's a great question, Emily. The nuance is subtle, and often you can use either. But usually tends to imply what is typical or normal for a person or situation. I usually wake up early implies that my normal pattern is early waking. Often can just mean it happens frequently, without necessarily implying it's the standard norm. I often go to the library means I visit a lot, but perhaps it's not my usual weekly activity if I have other commitments.
So, usually has a stronger sense of routine or habit, while often just emphasizes high frequency. Good distinction. Now let's talk about regularly.
Regularly also indicates frequency, usually something that happens at fixed or expected intervals, or just consistently. It's similar to often, but can sometimes imply a more structured frequency.
Right. For example, I regularly exercise at the gym. This implies I have a consistent schedule for it, maybe 3 times a week, every week. Or they regularly visit their grandparents on Sundays. It's a consistent, fixed pattern.
You can often use regularly and often interchangeably, but regularly gives a slightly stronger sense of being scheduled or habitual. Pronunciation tip for regularly. Make sure you get that R sound in there and the L. Regularly. It can be a bit of a tongue twister.
Yes, that one can be tricky. So we've covered the high-frequency adverbs, always, usually, often, and regularly. Now, let's move down the scale to the lower-frequency ones.
These are seldom meets and selten rarely. These words mean almost never, not often. They indicate a very low frequency, perhaps only 5 to 10% of the time.
Seldom means not often, almost never. For example, I seldom eat fast food. This means I hardly ever eat it, maybe once or twice a year, if that. Or, she seldom watches TV, she prefers reading.
And then, rarely. This is very similar to seldom, often interchangeable. It also means not often, or on very few occasions. I rarely stay up past midnight. This means it almost never happens, perhaps only on special occasions.
So, seldom and rarely are pretty much synonyms. If you use one, you understand the meaning. Choose the one you feel most comfortable with, listeners. Pronunciation for rarely. Rarely. Make sure to clearly pronounce both R sounds.
Finally, at the very bottom of our frequency scale, we have never.
Never means 0% of the time, not at any time. It's a definitive negative. For example, I never drink coffee. This means I don't drink it, not a single cup. Or he never makes his bed. This means he doesn't do it at all.
You can see how important these words are for expressing your habits. Let's think about a common mistake here. When you use never, you do not need another negative word in the sentence. For example, you wouldn't say, I never don't drink coffee. That's a double negative, and it's incorrect. I never drink coffee is perfectly clear and correct.
Right. It's like saying, I don't not like pizza. Just say, I like pizza or I don't like pizza. Keep it simple. Never already carries the negative meaning.
So that's our lineup of adverbs of frequency. Always, usually, often, regularly, seldom, rarely, never. Now, the big question for our listeners is, where do these words go in a sentence?
Excellent question, Brian. The placement of adverbs of frequency is actually quite consistent, and once you get it, it becomes very natural.
The general rule is this. Adverbs of frequency usually go before the main verb, but after the verb to be.
Let's break that down. When your sentence has an action verb like wake up, eat, read, go, the adverb goes right before it. For example, I always want to wake up early, not I wake up always early. That sounds clunky and unnatural.
Exactly. She usually eats breakfast at 8 a.m. We often go for a walk in the park. They rarely complain about anything. See how always, usually, often, and rarely are placed right before the action verb?
Yes, it's very consistent. Now, for the verb to be, that's words like am, is, are, was, were. The adverb of frequency goes after the to be verb. For example, he is always late, not he always is late. That's incorrect.
That's a really common mistake, so pay attention to this one, listeners. They are often tired after work. I am never bored when I'm reading. She is seldom unhappy.
So, main verb, adverb asterisk before asterisk. Verb to be, adverb asterisk after asterisk. Got it? Let's try a quick little test, Brian. I'll give you a sentence and you put the adverb in the right place.
I'm ready, Emily. Hit me with your best shot.
Okay. I make coffee in the morning. Add usually.
I usually make coffee in the morning. Correct.
Very good. How about she is happy? Add always.
She, always happy. Boom. I remembered the to be rule.
Excellent. One more. They visit their parents. Add seldom.
They seldom visit their parents. Did I get that right?
You absolutely did, Brian. You've mastered the placement. So remember this rule, listeners. It will make your sentences sound much more natural and correct. And one more small point on placement. Sometimes is a little more flexible. While it can follow the main rules, it can also go at the beginning or end of a sentence. Sometimes I read before bed. I sometimes read before bed. I read before bed sometimes. But for always, never, usually, etc., stick to the main rules we just gave you. Great tip. Now that we've thoroughly covered adverbs of frequency, let's expand our toolkit with some other very useful time expressions. These don't always fit neatly into the before verb or after to be rule, but they are just as important for talking about routines.
First up, a very common one. Every day. This is similar to always, but it's a phrase, not a single word adverb.
Yes, but every day means on all days, daily. For example, I drink water every day. Or, we go for a walk every day. Notice how every day often goes at the end of the sentence.
Or the beginning. Every day, I wake up early. This is different from daily as an adverb, which can go mid-sentence, but every day as a phrase usually frames the sentence. Precisely. It gives a clear, consistent frequency. Now let's talk about expressions for things that happen occasionally, or sometimes, but not often. We have every now and then, and it means from time to time. Every now and then while means occasionally from time to time. It's for things that happen irregularly, not frequently. For example, I every now and then bake cookies. This implies it's a sporadic activity, not a weekly habit.
Or, we every now and then go out for a fancy dinner. It's not a regular occurrence, but it happens sometimes. It adds a nice touch to your speech when you want to express occasional activities.
Very true. And then there's from time to time, which is very similar to every now and then, almost interchangeable. It also means occasionally, not regularly.
For instance, I like to visit art museums from time to time. Or, he calls his old friends from time to time. Both every now and then and from time to time are good for describing things that are not part of your regular, frequent routine, but still happen.
So if you hear someone say, I go hiking every now and then, or I go hiking from time to time, they mean the same thing. Sometimes, but not often.
Moving on to another useful phrase, especially in more descriptive or narrative contexts. At which time? This phrase is used to introduce information about what happened at a specific point in a sequence of events. It connects one action to another, indicating a precise moment.
You often see this in more formal writing or when describing a process. For example, I finish work at 5 p.m., at which time I usually start preparing dinner. It ties the dinner prep directly to the 5 p.m. mark.
Or, the meeting ended abruptly, at which time everyone quickly left the room. It clearly indicates what happened exactly when the meeting ended. It's a way to specify the moment an action takes place in relation to another.
It's a good phrase to add precision to your descriptions of sequential events. And finally, a very practical expression. Set aside time.
Set aside time means to reserve or dedicate a specific period of time for a particular activity. It implies planning and intentionality.
For example, I set aside time every morning for meditation. This means I purposely allocate a specific block of time for it in my schedule. Or, you should set aside time to review your English notes every day.
Yes, that's a great example for our listeners. It highlights the importance of making time for something. It's not just doing something, but consciously making a slot for it in your routine.
So how do these new time expressions compare to our adverbs of frequency, Emily?
That's a crucial question. Adverbs of frequency, like always or never, are single words that typically fit into the flow of a sentence, either before the main verb or after to be. They are concise.
Right. I always read concise.
Whereas time expressions, like every day or from time to time, are usually phrases. They often go at the beginning or end of a sentence, or they can introduce a clause, like at which time. They offer more descriptive flexibility.
For example, instead of saying, I always go to the gym, you could say, I go to the gym every day. Both mean the same thing, 100% frequency, but the structure is different.
Or, instead of, I rarely eat chocolate, you could say, I eat chocolate from time to time. The nuance might be slightly different. Rarely feels more like a strong negative statement, while from time to time is softer, admitting it happens occasionally.
Yes, rarely almost implies avoidance, while from time to time suggests it happens but isn't a habit. So, you have options depending on the exact nuance you want to convey.
Another difference is emphasis. Sometimes placing a time expression at the beginning of a sentence can give it more emphasis. Every day I practice my English. That sounds very determined.
It absolutely does. Now let's do a little practice. I'll say a sentence using an adverb of frequency, and you can try to rephrase it using a time expression, or vice versa.
Sounds like a fun challenge. I'm ready.
Okay, first one. She usually goes for a run in the park. How could you say that using a time expression?
She goes for a run in the park most days. Or, she goes for a run in the park almost every day. Those aren't exact matches to our list, but they capture the essence of usually. Or, if we stick to our list, we could say, she goes for a run in the park every day. If we mean almost every day and want to simplify, it depends on the precise level of frequency.
Good point. We can adapt. How about, they seldom watch reality TV shows?
They watch reality TV shows from time to time. Or, they watch reality TV shows every now and then. Both work well to show low frequency.
Perfect. How about this? I never forget my keys.
Ooh, for never. It's harder to use a positive time expression directly. You could say, I don't forget my keys at any time. Or, I always remember my keys every day. It often involves changing the verb or adding always with the opposite meaning. This highlights how direct and strong never is.
Very insightful, Emily. It shows that while there's overlap, each expression has its own unique flavor. Now, before we move on, let's touch on pronunciation again. These words can sometimes be tricky for English learners.
Yes, let's make sure our listeners feel confident saying these words. For ye, usually. It's usually. That often sounds like a sh sound, and the u is like oo. Usually. Don't rush it.
And for ow, often. A common question is, do you pronounce the T? In American English, it's very common to not pronounce the T, so it sounds like off-n, but you might hear some people pronounce it as off-ten. And that's not wrong either. Both are acceptable. Pick what's easier for you.
For any regularly. As you mentioned, Brian, regularly. Make sure to get those R and L sounds in. Practice saying it slowly, regularly.
Rarely, R-A-R-E-L-E-E. 2 clear syllables. Rarely.
And for the time expressions, every now and then. This is a phrase, so focus on linking the words smoothly. Every now and then. The D in and often gets reduced or dropped. Every now and then.
Same for from time to time. From time to time. The toe can be reduced to tuh. From time to time.
Great tips, Brian. The more you hear these and practice saying them, the more natural they will become. Repetition is key.
Absolutely. So to recap this grammar spotlight we've covered, adverbs of frequency. Always, usually, often, regularly, seldom, rarely, never. Remember their typical placement, before the main verb, but after the verb to be.
And we've also introduced other useful time expressions. Every day, every now and then, from time to time, at which time. And tisei, set aside time. These often go at the beginning or end of a sentence.
Mastering these words and phrases, along with understanding their correct placement, will dramatically improve your ability to talk about your daily routines and habits in English. It adds precision and naturalness to your speech.
Think about your own daily life right now. How often do you make coffee? Do you always make it or just usually? Do you seldom eat out or do you eat out from time to time?
Use these words to describe your own reality. That's the best way to make them stick. And don't be afraid to experiment with them in your conversations or even in your thoughts.
This really is the backbone of describing your daily life. Knowing these patterns will help you understand native speakers better and express yourself more clearly.
We're building a complete picture of your day, not just the actions, but when and how often they happen. And speaking of pictures, in our next segment, we're going to put all of this into action with a fun, real-life dialogue.
Get ready to hear Stephanie and Jacob's morning routine brought to life with all the vocabulary and grammar we've learned so far. It's going to be a fun one.
Get ready to hear Stephanie and Jacob's morning routine brought to life with all the vocabulary and grammar we've learned so far. It's going to be a fun one.
I'm so excited for this. We've got our wonderful voice actors ready to bring Stephanie and Jacob to life. We'll play a short snippet of their dialogue, and then Brian and I will jump back in to explain some of the key phrases, vocabulary, and grammar they use. It's a great way to hear everything in action.
Absolutely. This is where the magic happens. Taking all those individual words and rules and seeing how they naturally fit into a conversation. Pay close attention to how they talk about their routines, how often things happen, and the specific words they choose.
All right, listeners, imagine the sun is just peeking through the curtains. The birds are starting to chirp, and in a cozy apartment, Stephanie and Jacob are about to begin their day. Or, well, try to begin their day. Let's listen.
Ugh, that alarm. No, no, no. Just 5 more minutes. Sound of alarm being snoozed.
Stephanie, are you always going to hit snooze? It's already 7 a.m. My alarm usually goes off at 6:30, and I'm always up by 6:45 at the latest.
Jacob, darling, some of us seldom wake up feeling like a ray of sunshine. I rarely jump out of bed. You know this. My body clock never cooperates before 8.
I know. But the coffee machine always starts its brewing cycle at 7:15, and if you're not up, you miss the fresh aroma. I'm telling you, it's a wasted opportunity every day.
Fine. I'm getting up. Sound of rustling sheets, a groan. See, I'm getting up. But I usually need at least 2 snoozes before I can even think about moving.
Just don't forget to brush your teeth, Steffi. I always brush mine the moment I get out of bed. It's the first thing I do.
Of course, I'll brush my teeth. I'm not a monster. But I often forget to floss. I really should regularly floss. I know. Okay, I'm headed to the bathroom. You go make that magical coffee.
Okay, pause right there. Wow, what an opening scene to their morning. Jacob sounds like a real early bird, and Stephanie, well, she sounds like a lot of us.
Definitely relatable. Let's break down some of the key phrases and vocabulary they used. First, Jacob asked, "Are you always going to hit snooze?" Here, always is used to express his frustration about Stephanie's consistent habit of hitting the snooze button. It means 100% of the time in his experience.
And Stephanie's response, "Some of us seldom wake up feeling like a ray of sunshine. I rarely jump out of bed." This is a fantastic example of using seldom and rarely, which, as we discussed, mean almost never. She's saying it's very uncommon for her to wake up feeling great or to jump out of bed.
She also says, "My body clock never cooperates before 8." This is a great use of never, 0% of the time. Her body clock simply does not work for early mornings. This is a very strong, definitive statement.
Then Jacob brings up the coffee machine. The coffee machine always starts its brewing cycle at 7:15, and if you're not up, you miss the fresh aroma. I'm telling you, it's a wasted opportunity every day. Here, always is used for a scheduled, consistent event. And he emphasizes the consistency with every day, which, remember, is a time expression indicating daily occurrence.
And when Stephanie finally decides to get up, she says, "But I usually need at least 2 snoozes before I can even think about moving." Usually tells us this is her typical pattern most of the time, but maybe not every single time. It's her normal way of starting the day.
Jacob reminds her to brush her teeth, saying, "I always brush mine the moment I get out of bed. It's the first thing I do." Another always, showing a non-negotiable part of his routine. And Stephanie replies, "I often forget to floss. I really should regularly floss, I know."
Here, often means frequently, many times, but not 100%. So she frequently forgets, and regularly implies she should floss at consistent, scheduled intervals like every day. This highlights the slight difference in nuance between often and regularly.
Fantastic. So many great examples in just a short snippet. Let's hear what happens next as Stephanie and Jacob continue their morning.
Jacob, have you seen my flat iron? I usually leave it right here, but it's not here today. My hair is going to be so frizzy without it.
No, I haven't seen it, Steffi. You often put it in strange places after you use it. Check under the bed? Or maybe it's with your makeup.
No, it's not with my makeup. I always keep my makeup in this drawer. Ah, found it. It was on the bookshelf. How did it get there? I rarely read in the bathroom.
Mystery solved. Are you planning your outfit for the day? I always choose my clothes the night before to save time. It helps me get dressed really quickly in the morning.
I seldom plan my outfit the night before. I like to see how I feel in the morning. Sometimes I pick something out, but every now and then I try on 5 different things before I decide. It can take me ages to get dressed, and then I have to do my hair. I usually blow dry it, but today I might just put it in a bun.
Well, don't take too long. I regularly leave for work at 8:30 a.m. sharp, so we don't want to miss our ride share.
I know. You're always on schedule. I'm trying. I just finished brushing my teeth. Now for the outfit.
Another excellent slice of life. We can really feel the difference in their morning styles. Jacob is organized and plans, while Stephanie is a bit more spontaneous, which leads to some morning chaos.
Definitely. Let's unpack this section. Stephanie immediately brings up her flat iron and says, I usually leave it right here. Again, usually means this is her typical habit, but it's missing, which is unusual for her.
And Jacob's response is great. You often put it in strange places after you use it. He uses often, implying that this happens frequently, even if Stephanie doesn't always realize it.
Then Stephanie talks about her makeup. I always keep my makeup in this drawer. This tells us that for her, keeping makeup in a specific drawer is a consistent 100% habit. No exceptions there.
When she finds the flat iron, she exclaims, I rarely read in the bathroom. Rarely, like seldom, means almost never. So finding her flat iron on the bookshelf is very surprising because she almost never reads in the bathroom.
Jacob asks about her outfit and says, I always choose my clothes the night before to save time. This is a strong example of his consistent planning. It's a key part of his routine that he always does.
Stephanie, on the other hand, says, I seldom plan my outfit the night before. Again, seldom for something she hardly ever does. She prefers to decide in the morning.
And she adds, sometimes I pick something out, but every now and then I try on 5 different things before I decide. Every now and then is that wonderful time expression that means occasionally, from time to time, not regularly. It perfectly captures her sporadic attempts to plan versus her frequent morning outfit dilemmas.
She also says, I usually blow dry it, but today I might just put it in a bun. Usually, again, for her typical hair routine. This shows flexibility. She usually does something, but sometimes she doesn't.
And Jacob emphasizes his punctuality with, I regularly leave for work at 8:30 a.m. sharp. Regularly here implies consistency and adherence to a schedule, perhaps even a fixed one. It's a strong indicator of his routine.
Wow, so much packed into that conversation. You can really hear how adverbs of frequency and time expressions make the descriptions of routines so much richer and more detailed. All right, let's hear how Stephanie and Jacob wrap up their morning and head out the door.
Coffee's ready, Steffi. I always make enough for both of us. Are you coming to eat? I've already had my usual granola and fruit.
Thanks, Jake. You're the best. I think I'll just grab a yogurt. I seldom have a big breakfast. I prefer a light bite.
That's true. You rarely eat a full meal in the morning. Well, I'm off to finish packing my bag. I always double-check my keys and wallet before I leave.
Good idea. I often forget something crucial. Like that time I went to work without my laptop charger. That was a disaster.
Remember, the rideshare will be here in 5 minutes. We usually leave right at 8:30 a.m., so let's make sure we're ready.
Almost. Just need to grab my phone, and my purse, and my headphones, and my water bottle.
Okay. Don't forget anything important. I'll wait by the door. I regularly check the front door is locked, at which time I also set the alarm. See you outside.
Coming. Muttering to herself, I swear I always lose something just before I need to leave.
And that's Stephanie and Jacob's morning routine. What a whirlwind! I think we can all relate to some aspect of that, whether we're a Jacob or a Stephanie.
Absolutely. Let's break down these final moments. Jacob starts by saying, I always make enough for both of us. Again, a consistent 100% habit. He's a good partner.
And Stephanie confirms her lighter breakfast habit. I seldom have a big breakfast. This means she hardly ever eats a large meal in the morning. Jacob reinforces this with, you rarely eat a full meal in the morning, using rarely as a synonym for seldom.
When Jacob prepares to leave, he says, I always double-check my keys and wallet before I leave. Another always showing his meticulous habit. He never forgets to do this.
Stephanie admits, I often forget something crucial. Here, often means it happens frequently, many times. It's not every time, but it's a common occurrence for her.
And then Jacob reminds her of their departure time. We usually leave right at 8:30 a.m. Usually here indicates their typical departure time, their standard routine.
He adds a great, more complex sentence. I regularly check the front door is locked, at which time I also set the alarm. Regularly emphasizes the consistent nature of checking the lock, and at which time is perfectly used to link two sequential actions, checking the lock and then at that exact moment, setting the alarm. It adds precision.
And Stephanie's final relatable line, I swear I always lose something just before I need to leave. That always sums up her feeling of constant misplacement. Even if it's not literally every single time, it feels like it to her. It's a common way to use always hyperbolically in casual speech.
This dialogue truly brought to life how these adverbs of frequency and time expressions are used in everyday conversation. It makes describing your habits and routines so much more vivid and clear.
It really does. And now that you've heard Stephanie and Jacob's morning, we'd love for you, our listeners, to think about your own routines.
That's right. How do your mornings compare? Are you an always wake-up early person like Jacob? Or do you usually hit snooze a few times like Stephanie?
Do you always make your bed, or do you seldom get around to it? Do you regularly go for a walk in the morning, or do you only do it every now and then?
Think about your breakfast habits. Do you always have coffee, or do you never drink it? Do you often eat a big meal, or do you rarely eat breakfast at all?
We encourage you to describe your own morning routine, or even your evening routine, using some of the vocabulary and grammar we've focused on today.
Try to use at least 3 different adverbs of frequency and 2 different time expressions. You can do this by speaking out loud to yourself. Or if you have a speaking partner, tell them about your routine.
For example, you could say, I usually wake up around 7 a.m., but I always hit snooze once. I rarely eat breakfast, but I every day make a cup of tea.
Or perhaps, I always take a shower first thing. I often listen to music while I get dressed. I seldom check my phone immediately, but I from time to time scroll through social media before work.
The key is to consciously incorporate these words into your descriptions. The more you use them, the more natural they will feel.
This practice of applying what you learn immediately is incredibly powerful for language acquisition. It helps move the vocabulary and grammar from your passive understanding to your active speaking.
Don't just listen and understand. Use it. This is how you make these new concepts truly your own.
And remember, there's no right or wrong routine. The goal is just to describe your actual routine using the English you're learning today.
So, whether you're a meticulously scheduled person or someone who thrives on a bit of morning spontaneity, you now have the tools to talk about it with confidence.
In our next section, we'll build on this by giving you even more specific speaking practice tips and advice on how to continue improving your ability to describe your routine naturally.
Get ready to solidify what you've learned and take your English fluency to the next level.
Welcome back, English learners. We've just explored Stephanie and Jacob's fascinating and very relatable morning routine. Now it's time to take all that amazing vocabulary and grammar we've learned, those adverbs of frequency and time expressions, and put them into action for your own daily life.
That's right. Learning a language isn't just about understanding, it's about using it. And the best way to make these new words and structures truly yours is through consistent practice. We're going to give you some practical advice and fun strategies to make describing your routine in English feel natural and effortless.
Our first piece of advice for speaking practice is simple but incredibly effective. Find a speaking partner or record yourself. Think about it. When you're speaking with someone, you get real-time feedback, and you also have to think on your feet, which is fantastic for fluency.
Absolutely. If you have a friend who is also learning English or a native speaker you can chat with, set aside some time to talk about your daily routines. You can ask each other questions like, how often do you wake up early? Or, what do you usually do on the weekends? This turns learning into a genuine conversation.
If a speaking partner isn't available, don't worry. Recording yourself is an excellent alternative. Grab your phone or computer, hit record, and simply describe your day. Start from when you wake up. I always wake up to the sound of birds. Or, I usually hit snooze 3 times.
Then continue through your morning, afternoon, and evening. Don't be afraid to sound silly or make mistakes. The goal here is just to get those words out, to actively produce the language. When you listen back, you'll be able to identify areas where you might want to improve or simply marvel at how much you're already saying.
This also helps you become more aware of your pronunciation and intonation. For instance, are you emphasizing the adverbs of frequency correctly? Remember how we talked about always sounding different when it's stressed for emphasis versus just part of a regular statement? Recording yourself helps you hear that.
And don't just record once. Make it a regular habit. Try recording your routine description once a week for a month. You'll be amazed at your progress and how much more natural your descriptions become over time. It's like keeping a diary, but with your voice.
Our second tip is closely related. Actively incorporate adverbs of frequency into both your speech and your writing. It's not enough to just know what often means. You need to consciously try to use it.
Exactly. When you're talking about your routine, before you even open your mouth, take a quick moment to think, okay, what adverb of frequency can I use here? Instead of just saying, I drink coffee, try to elevate it. I always drink coffee first thing, or I seldom drink coffee in the evening.
This might feel a bit forced at first, almost like you're doing a little mental exercise before each sentence. But the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. It trains your brain to reach for these useful words naturally.
And apply this to your writing too. Writing can be a fantastic bridge to better speaking. Before you describe your routine out loud, try writing it down first. This gives you time to think about sentence structure, vocabulary, and of course, where to best place those adverbs of frequency.
For example, write 3 sentences about your morning using always, usually, and never. Then write 2 sentences about your evening using often and rarely. Once you've written them, read them aloud. This combines the benefits of both writing and speaking practice.
So instead of just saying, I make breakfast, you could write, I always make a healthy breakfast for my family every morning. Then read that sentence aloud. The repetition of writing and speaking will help solidify the phrases in your mind.
It's like building muscle memory for your language brain. The more you consciously practice these patterns, the more seamlessly they will flow in spontaneous conversation.
Our third tip is all about expanding your vocabulary, and it's a really fun one: themed journaling. We focused a lot on daily routines today, but English vocabulary for habits and time expressions goes far beyond just waking up and going to bed.
That's very true, Emily. Journaling provides a safe, low-pressure environment to experiment with new words and expressions. You're not worried about making a mistake in front of someone, so you can really play with the language.
Pick a theme for your journal entry. It could be your ideal morning routine, describing how you would always wake up if you could, or what you would usually do if time and money weren't an issue. Or perhaps, my weekend habits, detailing what you often do on Saturdays and what you seldom do on Sundays.
Or even things I never do, or things I do from time to time. This encourages you to think creatively and apply the vocabulary in different contexts. As you write, if you find yourself needing a word you don't know, look it up.
For example, you might be describing your ideal morning and realize you want to say you meditate. You could write, I always meditate for 15 minutes every morning. Or maybe you want to describe a special weekend activity and you think of hiking. You could write, I often go hiking with friends, every now and then when the weather is nice.
When you discover new words, don't just write them down in a list. Try to immediately use them in a sentence related to your daily routine or a new theme. This active application is what helps you remember them and integrate them into your active vocabulary.
The beauty of themed journaling is that it allows you to explore specific areas of your life in English. You'll not only master routine-related vocabulary, but also expand into areas like hobbies, work, social activities, and more, all while practicing those essential adverbs of frequency and time expressions. It's about making learning personal and relevant to your life. When you connect the language to your own experiences, it becomes much more memorable and meaningful. Now for our mini challenge. This is where you put all these tips into practice. We want you to challenge yourself for the next few days.
Here it is. Over the next 24 hours, try to use at least 5 different adverbs of frequency or time expressions from today's episode in your actual conversations or internal monologue.
Yes, that's right. If you're talking to a friend, try to slip in, I usually do this, or I rarely eat that. If you're just thinking to yourself, narrate your day using these words. I always forget my keys, or I seldom get to relax on Tuesdays.
Even better, try to describe a specific part of your day, like your lunch break or your commute, using 3 different adverbs of frequency and 2 different time expressions.
For example, you could say, I always pack my lunch, but I usually buy a coffee. I often read a book during my break, but every now and then I scroll through social media.
The goal isn't perfection, it's participation. It's about getting comfortable with these words, making them a part of your active English vocabulary. The more you consciously use them, the more naturally they'll come to you.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are just learning opportunities dressed in disguise. Each time you try, you're building fluency and confidence.
So, remember, practice by speaking, either with a partner or by recording yourself. Consciously integrate adverbs of frequency into both your speech and writing, and use themed journaling to expand your vocabulary and deepen your understanding.
And take on that mini challenge. We know you can do it. Every single phrase you use is a step closer to fluency.
Coming up next, we'll do a quick review of everything we've covered today and leave you with some final motivational words to keep you going on your English learning journey.
And here we are, already at the final segment of today's episode. It feels like time just flies when you're having fun learning English.
Doesn't it? We've covered so much ground today, from the nitty-gritty of daily routines to the rhythm of adverbs of frequency. Let's do a quick recap of what we've explored.
Absolutely. We started by diving into essential daily routine vocabulary. Think about words like wake up, get dressed, brush your teeth, make coffee, those everyday actions that make up our mornings. We also looked at terms related to personal habits and appearance, such as makeup, blow dry, and even frizzy hair.
And remember how we talked about setting aside time for things? That's a really useful phrase for managing your schedule. We then moved into the grammar spotlight, a deep dive into adverbs of frequency. These are the words that tell us how often something happens. Always, usually, often, regularly, seldom, rarely, and never.
We learned where to place them in a sentence, usually before the main verb, but after the verb to be. For example, I always drink coffee, or I am never late. We also cleared up common mistakes and gave you pronunciation tips to sound more natural.
Then we expanded our toolkit with additional time expressions like every day, every now and then, and from time to time. These really add detail and nuance when you're talking about your habits. We use these extensively in our fun dialogue breakdown of Stephanie and Jacob's morning, showing you how they sound in real-life conversations.
And we challenged you to think about how these words fit into your own routine. Remember how important it is to not just know these words, but to actively use them. That's why we followed up with practical speaking advice. Find a speaking partner, record yourself, and incorporate adverbs of frequency into your speech and writing.
Yes, and don't forget our tip on theme journaling to boost your vocabulary even further. It's all about creating opportunities to use these new words and phrases in a way that's personal and relevant to you.
We truly hope these strategies will help you integrate everything you've learned today into your everyday English. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. One conversation, one sentence, one adverb at a time.
That's the core message we want you to take away today. Learning English, or any language, isn't about reaching a finish line. It's a continuous journey, a habit you build over time.
And the more consistently you practice, the more natural and effortless it becomes. So keep listening, keep speaking, and keep exploring the language.
If you enjoyed this episode of English Podcast for Listening and Speaking, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. It helps us reach more learners just like you.
And if you have a moment, leaving us a review and a 5-star rating really makes a difference. It helps other English learners discover our show. We love hearing your feedback.
Also, we'd absolutely love to hear about your daily routine. Connect with us on social media and share how you usually start your day or what you rarely get to do. Use some of those adverbs of frequency and time expressions we talked about today.
Your active participation is what makes this community so vibrant and supportive. We're all learning and growing together.
So as we wrap up today's episode, we want to leave you with a powerful thought to motivate your English learning journey.
English fluency isn't a one-time thing. It's a habit. Practice regularly, and soon it becomes your second nature.
Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep living the language.
Goodbye for now.